Hi, grade 11s. Today we're going to be analysing and interpreting our financial statements. So just a little bit of revision from grade 10 as to how we're going to approach this, and let's have a look. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to state the difference between last year's figures and this year's figures. So let's have a look here. So we're going to state the difference between this year and last year's figures. Remember, I said to you that you can either state in year 1 it was X and in year B it was Y, or you can simply say the difference between last year and this year's figures is X amount, and 2 marks for stating that. Then I want you to give a possible reason for the increase or the decrease in the ratio, and again 2 marks for that. And then thirdly, remember to offer advice on how to remedy the situation or to improve the situation even further. And again, for that, you will get 2 marks. So there's 6 marks without the calculations. So remember, learn. How do I comment? The difference, possible cause, and thirdly, offer advice as to what you're going to do to improve the situation in future. Another important thing is average. So we often use this word average in the calculation of our ratios. Now, average simply means we're going to take the opening balance plus the closing balance divided by 2, and that would be our average amount. And then very, very, very importantly, please remember that whenever you are quoting ratios, you must use the current year's amounts first. Even if you identify it by saying 20.2 and then do 20.1, you're not going to get the marks. Please, please, please remember that you must always quote the current year's figures first. Just a little tip there, so please do remember that. I'm briefly going to revise the grade 10 liquidity ratios that we did last year. And just to remind you, liquidity always refers to current assets as to current liabilities. We can't just use the word assets because that refers to total assets. Likewise with liabilities. So you must always remember to put in the word current assets and current liabilities. So let's look at the first ratio that we did last year, and that is the current ratio. So we are going to compare our current assets to our current liabilities. So just to revise, there are 3 current assets. They are my inventories, my trade and other receivables, and my cash and cash equivalents. Likewise, with my current liabilities, I've got my trade and other payables, I've got my bank overdraft, and I've got my short-term loan. So learn what your current assets and your current liabilities are. Next, we're going to look at the acid test ratio. Now, you may be wondering where this word acid comes from, and it originates from when gold was sold many years ago, and some of the traders would pretend to be selling real gold when it was actually fool's gold. So a buyer would come along and pour acid over the gold. If the gold remained, it was true gold. And if the gold disappeared because the acid had eaten it away, they would not buy the gold. Hence, we have the term acid test ratio. Now, this is the true ratio, if you remember from last year, because we are removing the trading inventory and we are looking at the remaining current assets, which is obviously my trade and other receivables plus my cash and cash equivalents compared with my current liabilities. So An alternative to current assets minus trading inventory would be trade and other receivables plus cash and cash equivalents as to current liabilities. So that measures, can I pay my current liabilities with my current assets minus my trading inventory? Right, so today we're going to move on to our grade 11 liquidity ratios. So the first one is stock turnover rate. And here I am measuring how many times per year I've got to replenish or replace my stock. And so to do that, I'm going to take my cost of sales figure and I'm going to divide it by my average trading stock. So to come back to average, you're going to take your opening balance plus your closing balance, divide by 2, and that will give you your average trading stock. So for example, let's say this the answer to this particular ratio is 9. That simply means that we replenish or replace our stock 9 times a year. Now, what you have to do here is you've got to go and look at what type of a business it is. So, for example, if it's a clothing store, well, to replace your stock 9 times a year, we would have possibly be replacing our summer stock 5 times and our winter stock 4 times. Alternatively, if we are looking at a furniture business, if we only replaced our stock 2 or 3 times a year, that's fine. So that's why I'm saying to you, look at what kind of a business you have been asked to calculate the stock turnover rate. Next, we're going to look at the stock holding period. Now, the stock holding period simply says how many days stock do I still have on hand before I run out of stock. And so the calculation here is average stock. And I think you've got what average means. And I'm going to divide it by cost of sales. And I'm going to multiply it by 365 over 1. Obviously, if you are asked how many months stock you still have on hand, it would be 12 over 1. So you need to be adjustable and you need to read what they're asking for. Are they asking for days or are they asking for months? And obviously, you would adjust your calculation to either be 365 over 1 or 12 over 1. So what does this tell us? If we are holding too much stock, we have got too much money tied up in our stock, and we could have a cash flow problem as a result of having too much stock. Stock can also become obsolete. What does obsolete mean? Outdated. Okay, so let's say winter has come to an end and we're still holding stock and we're going to hold it over until next year. Maybe next year there are different fashions and then last year's stock is outdated. So we're not going to sell it anyway. And then also, if we do not have enough stock on hand, that could negatively impact my sales. Because if I went into a shop and for argument's sake, I wanted a pink highlighter and they say to me, well, sorry, we've only got blue, yellow or orange. And I specifically want a pink one because my pink highlighter has run out of ink. I'm going to walk out the shop and I'm going to go to another shop to find a pink highlighter because that's what I'm looking to buy. So too little stock can negatively impact sales. So the person in charge of stock in your business has to know the stock levels very well so that we don't have any of these problems here where we have too much stock because then too much money is tied up, it becomes outdated, or we don't have enough stock and therefore we are not selling items. Right, so let's look at how we're going to calculate our average debtors collection period. So we've now moved from stock to our debtors. So this measures how long does it take for our debtors to pay us, or alternatively, how long does it take for us to collect the money from our debtors? Now, why do we have debtors? Because we've sold them goods on credit. And so the formula I'm going to use is average. Shall I repeat average? Half of opening plus half of closing gives me average. Why do I have debtors? Because I sold them goods on credit. And again, I want to know how many days it takes for my debtors to pay me. And so I would multiply by 365 over 1. Again, alternatively, please read your question carefully. If they said months, then you would look at 12 over 1. So now, how long is acceptable for a debtor to pay their account? And so the answer there is 30 days. So that's what we should be looking at. And if our debtors are taking longer to pay, well, we need to take action. And we need to encourage them to pay their accounts before the 30 days, or 30 days at the very latest. So what can we do? We can offer a cash discount. You know from last year that a cash discount means if I owe them, your business, 100 Rand, and the way you could encourage me is by offering me a 5% cash discount. So in other words, I'd be paying 95 Rand as opposed to 100 Rand. On the opposite side to that, I could charge my debtors interest on their overdue accounts. So debtors don't like paying any additional amounts. So we can say to them, if you don't pay within 30 days, we're going to charge interest to your account. And so that would be the case. We would work on a set percentage rate. We would do the calculation. And remember, we always do ART. ART stands for amount multiplied by rate multiplied by time. And so here you would do an ART calculation to establish the amount of interest that we would be charging on an outstanding account. Also, we could say to a debtor, you haven't paid your account, your credit limit. Now, you'll remember from last year what the credit limit is. You have exceeded your credit limit, or you haven't paid. So if your credit limit is 2,000 Rand, you may not go beyond owing us 2,000 Rand. And so that would be my credit limit. And then what else could we as a business do? We could do a very sound credit check on any prospective debtors. So a credit check is just where we check how much our prospective debtor is earning, and we would work out an amount so that their repayment does not exceed, for example, the amount of rent that they have to pay. So that is just a little protection means that we could apply as a business to our prospective debtors. This question here, please mark as an FAQ. Even in matric, you are often asked to do this calculation on the debtor's collection period, and 9 times out of 10 it will exceed the 30 days. And then they ask you for advice on what you could do to encourage your debtors to pay sooner. And so quite simply, the nice thing first, offer them a cash discount. The not so nice thing, charge them interest. Thirdly, don't let them purchase beyond their credit limit. And as a business, we could do a thorough credit check on our debtors before we accept them as a debtor. Now let's look at creditors' payment period. So how long does it take us to pay our creditors? Now, 60 to 90 days is the acceptable period that creditors give us to pay. Remember, I said for debtors it was 30 days. Creditors, 60 to 90. And the reason why? Well, when we purchase from our creditors, we are purchasing in bulk. So we are buying large quantities. When we sell to our debtors, we are selling in small quantities. So for example, we might have to buy a box with 100 smaller tubes of toothpaste in, where when you come into the store, we will sell you just one. So you have the privilege of not having to buy a box with 100 tubes of toothpaste in. So because we buy in larger quantities, we are allowed more days in which to pay back our creditors. However, let's just work on 60 days for now. So if I paid my creditors around 57, 58, 59 days, I still qualify for discount. And so that's important to my business because I have allowed my debtors discount, but I want to receive discount from my creditors. Now, if this time period of 60 to 90 days, depending on the conditions that we have agreed to with our creditors, let's say it's 102 days, that immediately tells me that this business of mine has a liquidity problem. In other words, they more than likely do not have enough money to pay the creditors. And so non-payment of a creditor's account could indicate a liquidity problem. Formula for calculating how long it takes us to pay our creditors is, again, going to be average creditors. I'm sure by now you have come to realize what average is, and I don't have to explain that to you again. So I'm going to say average creditors. Now, why have I got creditors? Because I purchased on credit. And so I'm going to divide by credit purchases. And again, 9 times out of 10, you will be asked how many days it takes, but you are flexible enough to know that should they say months, you would simply multiply by 12/1. So, homework time again. I want you to study the 4 new liquidity ratios which I have taught you today, because you already know the current ratio and the acid test ratio from last year. And please, would you do the relevant exercises in the textbook? Because practice makes perfect. So, see you next time.